previous school district, they did not pay
Right.
Social Security. So I would qualify for more Social Security under my husband's record,
Mhm.
except for the fact that because I have a government pension, it's considered a government pension, TRS,
Mhm.
they would calculate 2/3 of that and subtract it from what I qualify as his wife. And that's nothing. It leaves nothing. Because 2/3 of my pension is,
Right.
wouldn't leave anything. Right now, I would qualify for 50% of what he gets.
I don't recall the details, but I know there was a lot of hoopla when they did that. And whether it was an agreement, because they talked about them wanting to set up a separate retirement system, and then the people who wanted to do that were accused of trying to manipulate the money for their benefit. So I'm not sure if that was a federal issue or if it was a state issue that led to that. But I remember Perry was involved
Yeah.
in regards to switching that they gave you the option, that they were giving the teachers the option of either being a federal program or a state program that quote unquote was supposed to efficiently monitor and invest the teacher's retirement fund. And so that was, I think, an agreement between the state and the federal government in regards to you not having to pay into Social Security because you were paying into the teacher's retirement system. That's the only thing I recall. I don't recall the exact details of how that transpired. But I don't think it's coming from federal.
But that's just it. The federal government is trying to insinuate itself into the school districts, I believe for goodwill. But in the district that I was in, which is large, San Antonio SD, the government provides us the lunch program through the USDA. So I'm in the school, but I can't go into the kitchen, even though I'm in the cafeteria, because you have to be certified to be a USDA employee in there. And I obviously would want to fix that. I mean, it's just not, whenever it's unfair like that, I mean, yes, we want people to say, hey, right is right and wrong is wrong.
So
That's what Mama taught me.
So let me ask, in that system, that dual system, would you be contributing to both Social Security and the teacher retirement system?
Yes.
So they would be taking taxes for both entities?
Well, if
Yeah,
you
'cause right
work
now
for
they
a
don't
company,
pay Social
you
Security.
put
Right.
money into a 401K,
Yeah,
whatever,
like
plus
401K,
Social
right.
Security, so it's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, it's like 401K, so much goes into your payroll check,
Right.
and then so much to Social Security.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me do one, and Anthony, you should have been there to help me. A year ago, I retired. I got my Social Security check, filled out the paper there, chick. I left work, went sold my rental property, cashed out, went home. A year later, my tax guy says I owe $8,000. I'm going, how? Well, you didn't sign off for withholdings on your Social Security. They're taxing my Social Security?
Yes.
What kind of cruel joke is that?
I would have actually probably told you to work longer.
Thanks, Anthony, what a pal.
Taxing your
Yeah,
Social
you
Security
pay-
did
you pay
come
two
from Ronald
taxes.
Reagan.
It came from Ronald Reagan, that did something.
Yeah.
Yes, it happened by Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Hey, they started taxing benefits.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just a cruel joke.
You're paying no taxes, you pay for it when you work, and you pay for it when you retire.
To me, that's double dipping. They're
It is.
taxing you twice.
It is.
And I think I would make, believe me, I would make a noise on that one to say, get the money out of some other place, not off people who are retired.
Yeah.
Because, let's put it, and you know what I'm talking about. You worked 40 years and you put a whole lot of money in there because you're a W-2 all your life. They're not gonna give you all that money back. They just give you a pittance. The maximum Social Security benefit is $3,500 a year.
I think it's your top 5 years, and then you make that on a return of like 5 years. When you receive it after that, it's all yours.
But that's
It's not your money anymore.
$36,000 a year. What can you do with that? nowadays. You know, I should have said, no, I'm not paying taxes, I'm saving my own security. You think they would have let me? No. Well, and let's just say, you know, Anthony, W-2s are the ones that get screwed.
Yeah.
Because they know exactly how many pennies you made, and they're gonna take exactly half of all those pennies. If you had a business and you could run money through it, and it was a cash, and some of it went into the closet and nobody ever knew about it, you could hide and manipulate. And if you're big and rich enough, well, you got accountants that'll do that for you. But the big tax, Social Security, just cruel to me. Anthony, you got anything? I wanted to show you some pictures, folks, so that I'm here to piss you off, okay?
Well, before you piss us all off, okay, that question that I present to all three of you, whoever takes it and does go will become our rep, on the 27th. That's what you need to think about.
I definitely, either of us, I know, will tell you.
Because teachers, there's a lot of teachers in the state of Texas that are not getting paid
Yeah,
what they should have gotten paid.
absolutely, because it's
I
all
have statement
determined.
though.
Yeah,
How many of these teachers vote Republican?
most.
Actually,
Well,
I got a testimony here, when I first met my girlfriend in 2018, she always was a Republican, she's an educator, in mathematics. And when I told her, when I asked her who she's voting for, she said, oh, like, you know, she always votes Republican, we live in Port Aransas. And so I told her, I was like, well, he's the guy that doesn't wanna pay you, even though you have your master's degree. Like, he's the guy that wants to make sure that all teachers don't get paid well for some unknown reason, and demonize teachers. And so she was just like, wait, what? Like, he really? I'm like, yeah, Democrats want to pay teachers more. Democrats want to, again, that issue with the Social Security, like she gave me her W-2 today, to take a look at. So I see that, ever since I met her, so I understand it clearly. So I've always, talked to her friends and told them what they're missing. And because they're so young, they never knew it existed, It's like out of sight, out of mind for them. And for the most part, they think that's like their only option. And so consequently, like, yeah, they're always voting Republican, and they're just kind of settling it, because they're like, well, what can we do? So, my thing is, like, I remember I talked to her friends, because they live in Portland, and I know Portland's just, runs with Republicans. And so I've sat down with them and, kind of lectured them on the situation, and, it's all like just an ignorance, they don't understand it, they don't get it. And they don't really know it, they just go, oh, I got a job, I'm signing, I don't get Social Security, okay, I get the TRS, and then they just go about their business. And they don't really know the true details until they're already, 7 years in down the road, and they have their husband, they have their kid, they're, wait, what, I can't get the Social Security, like, something happens to him, it's like, no, you can't, that's what you signed up for.
Yeah.
So
And they don't explain that,
It's an education, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And that's why it's in place, because when it got established 30 years ago, was what it was? About 50
Which
years
one?
ago? The removal of Social Security?
Reagan, that was
Reagan,
about
yeah, Reagan.
40 years ago, and
40.
they did that because of his tax cuts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To pay for
Had
it.
to pay for
Trickle
the
down.
tax cut.
Remember trickle down?
So, again, unfortunately, it's something that has to be echoed every year to the old generation, so we can talk about it, to the new generation, so they can understand it better. Even me being around here, hearing everyone talk right now, I was sitting here just learning a lot from y'all. But I think that's important, so I can communicate that to the rest of the people that don't have the luxury of being around people that have been there, seen that, done that. Other than their parents, which they don't want to hear anything from their parents.
I wanted to show you this, one of the few bills that your current representative wrote. HR 5686, House of Representatives, October 22 of 21. Mr. Cloud introduced the following bill to permit civil actions against the United States for COVID vaccination mandates. He called the bill the Don't Jab Me Act. So he was trying to do a law,
Yeah.
so if you're a federal employee and you interact with the people and you're mandated to get a vaccine, he wanted to have a way so that they could sue the government, and that was his bill. In Victoria, and all three of us have been there several times, people told me, Republicans, that Cloud, he's a Dr. No. He says no to everything.
He never votes yes.
Look at this one. To terminate border wall emergency declaration, he said, no, don't terminate the border wall emergency. To reimpose the federal net neutrality rules, which is, in other words, for the internet, that everyone's on the same, okay. Because some people use more internet to stream more TV, they have more what's called bandwidth, and the cable companies want to charge you more for that. And they're saying, no, everybody pays the same. But he voted against reimposing net neutrality. To expand, this is the one that cracks me up. House Bill 4617, expand restrictions on online campaign ads, right? Restrictions on online campaign, and regulate foreign involvement in elections.
Is he crazy?
And he voted no. He likes foreign involvement in elections. To mandate, here's and this is another one that really bugs me. Mandate federal approval before some states can change voting practices. So in other words, let's go to Alabama. Let's say they want to redraw their districts. Under the Voting Rights Act of 1965, they had to ask permission from the federal government, the DOJ. Now, they're voting against any of those mandates so that Alabama can do whatever they want in Alabama.
So they're doing it in Georgia too, and then.
Exactly. I mean, they stay up late at night trying to figure out how to screw people.
That whole thing right there is not, it's all about state rights.
Well, yes.
That's all it is.
Well, and to me, that's a Confederate issue.
Exactly,
And a Confederate, to me, has always been a traitor.
exactly.
He fought against the United States. He left, had his own government, his own president, his own cabinet, and their soldiers killed the United States soldiers. So, they claim states' rights. That's another euphemism. States' rights to have slavery. If we want to go to that one. That's
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
which one?
The slavery.
Coming back?
I believe that all of this right now is going on with the way the Republicans and the corporations and everything, all the rich people, everything that's going on right now is gonna get back to a feudal system.
Go ahead. You had a
And
comment?
then feudalism will be the government.
The question,
That's what I feel.
she asked the question, did these
House bills.
amendments pass,
House bills.
even though he voted against them? Some yes, some no. I
I
don't know.
thought everything that you had up there showed that they had passed anyway, even though he voted against them. He was just being the naysayer.
He's being the errand boy for the RNC.
He was just being the naysayer. He's like, if that's what you're for, then I'm against it.
He's going with the crowd, he's going with
Exactly.
the Republicans.
Well, and this is a good one. He was one of 147 Republicans who voted to disallow the elections of 8 states because they thought there was fraud. And then, at the end of all that, when he was in the House, when the attackers were coming in, and the security officers were being beaten, right? They were going to give them a gold medal award, and he voted no on that too. I mean, he's heartless, just heartless. I mean, what's it? It's just a medal to the cops, give them a break.
He's not very smart, believe me,
I don't think so.
I'm from Victoria.
Oh.
Sorry, but he's not very smart and he's being told what to do.
Yes.
He's just being told what to do.
Yes.
He's
Absolutely.
led around by the nose,
Yeah.
and that's so, there's no hope.
I don't know if you've seen it in Victoria, he sent out a mailer that says, "I'm endorsed by President Trump."
Oh, yes.
He's proud of that. And I'm going, dude, that's nothing I would be proud of. Well, once again, folks, there is the district, that's where we live. We love hearing your ideas, and we really need to know what is most important to you, because if I watch Fox News, it's the brown people coming over the border. I was on, do you know this guy, Bill Posey, who's in,
Bill Posey, yes.
I was on his radio
Oh,
show.
yeah.
I was on his radio show. I dared to walk into the Lion's Den.
With, you mean that morning show?
Yes.
It's not his show, but it's the other guy's.
What-
Well, Posey does have one.
Okay, Posey has one, and I called in at 6:30 in the morning.
He's a Republican county chair.
And he said to me, well, you know, there's all these immigrants at the border. You know, they're trying to get in, and we need to stop that. We need to secure our borders. And I said, Bill, don't you realize you're being played? What do you mean? How do you get 10,000 Haitians to the border of Del Rio across the Mexican desert where there is not even a bus line? Well, I don't know, but they showed up. Somebody carried them there. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'll guarantee you from my experiences that it was the cartels. Because while you were over there with the governor, waving your flags and your guns, stay away brown people, there was 18-wheelers at Brownsville coming across loaded with dope, and they had no idea about it. And the guys were, thank you, we'll be back next week. It was a diversion. And they didn't see it at that. They saw it as an invasion of our country. And the governor was up there in his wheelchair going, go away, this is our country, go away.
In the meantime, we don't have workers to work a lot of the jobs.
Georgia passed so many anti-immigrant laws that the farmers are crying because there ain't nobody to pick up your Georgia peaches.
They're rotting in
Exactly. There's 14 million, I mean, we can do immigration if you like. I mean, there's 14 million immigrants in America right now working. How long have they been here? They just get here off the boat? No, they've been here 10, 15 years.
Longer than that, some of them.
Exactly. I mean, but they're in the workforce.
Yeah.
And if you like strawberries,
Still can't be citizens.
sorry?
Right.
And they still can't be citizens, though.
Paying the tax.
because they didn't come in through the whole process.
Well, no, they want them all to leave. And if they did leave, if they could stir the magic wand, what hotel could you go to? What restaurant could you go to? What construction site? Do you know, any of your high school students know how to do framing on a house? Do they know how to do drywall? We don't teach that.
Well, it's hard to find anybody to do it.
Thank you very much. Go down to the Home
I've
Depot
already
and
been
ask for
through
one.
this for
Yeah.
3 years.
Go in the back of Home Depot. and
They're
put 'em
hanging
on
out.
The truck.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking for a job right now, so I'll give you my number.
Oh, there you go. You can do drywall, great, but none of our kids know what that is.
Handyman.
No, in California, Ventura, is the Driscoll Farms. You've probably seen the clamshell of strawberries, it says Driscoll Farms. I did a story on it years ago, and I got in trouble because I went out to the field with an under microphone here and said, hey, how's it going? You know, how long you been here? So I was chatting up the guys. The security guard saw me, and I was a reporter, and he came and ran me up. But I was trying to do the story, the fact that there is no machine that can pick up a ripe strawberry. Right? It takes hands and eyes. Yeah. If they could, and it cost $500,000, they would buy one. But there ain't no machine that can do that. You know, because some are ripe and some are not. So you need eyeballs. And you have to stoop down to pick them up. So I wanted to understand their life. And here, the biggest strawberry fields in California, Driscoll Farms ships all over the world, and the owner was a Republican. And I'm going, wait, if there's an INS raid, INS shows up, catches everybody, puts them in the back of the paddy wagon, and sends them back to, quote, wherever they came from, yet the guy that hired them just sits there and watches. He knew they were illegal. Who committed the crime? Is my question here. I mean, you go to the chicken farms over in Gonzales, Farmer John doesn't get taken to the paddy wagon, yet Farmer John hired him. And he says, oh, damn, I gotta go get 20 more. I mean, it's just an incredible hypocrisy, you know? But
But
anyway,
they act like it's something new that's just happened. This has been going on for,
ever.
ever since I can remember.
1846, when
You know,
the border
That
was
the people
established.
were coming over. I can remember the cotton pickers, you know, and the ones that chopped cotton and ones that picked it.
Mhm. Yep,
Coming over in the big trucks.
yep. And because John Deere hadn't invented the combine yet.
No,
Exactly.
you know, but they act like this is something brand new. It's
Right.
not new.
And, you know, they established the Bracero program during World War II because all the boys were in Europe and there was nobody to pick the melons. So they said, well, okay, we'll let them temporarily in and then you go back. Of course, that didn't work either. So there has to be some rational, reasonable approach to this. I have 2 cents of an idea. Anthony, you can argue with me on this. If Juanito comes from Jalisco and he needs to earn some money to feed his kids, he goes to the post office and puts down a bond of $500 and he gets an EIN, an employee identification number. Okay? He's got fingerprints, photo, and an address. So now we know what Juanito, where he lives, right? And he can go to the chicken farmer and say, I got one of these. And the chicken farmer goes, oh, you're a 1099 contractor. Okay, go to work. End of the week, Farmer John pays him his $200. Juanito's got a revenue, a taxable event, as you like to say. And at the end of the year, Juanito's got to go to Walmart to get his H&R Block thing fixed up. He becomes a taxable payer. And the owner gets to subtract all that as labor. Right now, it's $200 under the table,
Yeah,
and nobody got nothing.
nobody got anything.
No taxes, no revenue, no tracking,
Right.
no, who is this guy? I mean, there are good, hard-working, honest people, and then there are guys that are not.
That's anywhere.
Exactly. But in this system, with a tax ID number that I'm suggesting, I mean, it has some problems, you haven't worked it all out. We can regulate the flow of the people coming in the border. What is it that you want to do? I want to work in agriculture. All right, well, we don't need anybody there. Next, you know. And if you say, some will say, well, that's an injustice to those poor people that come from all over the world to work, and I say, hey, welcome to America. This is how we do it here. You earn money, a piece of it goes to the government. If you're a W-2 or a 1099. And if you don't pay your taxes, you pay quarterly like I do now, since I have this debt to settle at my age with damn Social Security benefits. But those ideas, reasonable people can agree, right? And that's an idea, and you know, I don't hear anybody arguing with me. What do you think?
Actually, yeah, I don't agree. I don't wanna, I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you either, because that's the most, immigration is the most important part of our economies, our future economy. Right now, our population has grown significantly, but we learn in school is that economies grow because populations grow. And the only way we can keep being stronger, keep our productivity higher, and also, again, like, there's all those low-skilled people, bring in immigrants that have that skill, and then also bring in industry that they can work in. And since Republicans don't want to raise taxes, we can say, we're not gonna raise taxes. We're just gonna bring in more people into the economy and raise productivity, meaning more tax revenue to pay down the $31 trillion deficit that we currently have.
Sure.
Because if they don't wanna raise taxes, well, I was telling Michael Cloud, a couple of weeks, was it a month ago already? Probably like, yeah, a month ago, that the last time we had debt that was this high, you know, the last time we had the stock market this high, and the last time corporate rates were this low, that was in the early 1930s, and then thereafter, the Great Depression happened. And then the president at the time had to confiscate everybody's gold to cover the debt, to cover the losses. And so I told McLeod, it's like, so we're in the same situation, but it's 2021. I go, and it's gonna all come crashing down.
Yeah.
And where's the money gonna come from? They're literally gonna take it from the people once again to finance all these, again, this debt that's out there. And what's going on overseas with, Russia, you know, people say, what's the dollar backed by? And people say, oh, it's like backed by the full faith credit of the United States of America. And it's like, well, like, not necessarily true. It's actually backed by the entire world because,
Mhm.
I don't know if y'all know this, you cannot buy oil without American dollars.
Mhm.
If you're from Japan, you have to convert your yen into US dollars and buy oil. If you're Russian, you have to convert your rubles into US dollar to buy oil. That's like the agreement we have with the Saudis as Americans. They call it the petrodollar. Well, there was one guy who tried to start using other currencies to buy oil. That was Saddam Hussein, and they got rid of him. Now, what's going on is that, and this has been happening already for about almost 10 years, Russia has been dumping all their treasury bonds, pretty much getting rid of dollars. China has been getting rid of their treasuries and bonds, getting rid of their dollars. They've been buying gold, and they're working together behind the scenes. And so, this is something I don't tell people because the scope's really too big. But we're in a bad position because they have the opportunity to really hurt the dollar.
Mhm.
If people realize, oh, hey, we don't have, I mean, the Saudis are also kind of on the side of Russia and China as well. Biden tried asking them to increase production, and the Saudis said no. Because let's face it, they are societies where they have rulers, and they're friends. They want to stick together, just like all the democratic nations are sticking together. Unfortunately, one of them has all the oil, and then Russia does have a lot of production in natural gas and oil as well. And our dollar is tied to all that right now. So my fear is, again, it's something that most people don't think about, is that we are in a very, very vulnerable position because once other countries can see, oh, I don't need US dollars anymore to buy oil, that'll start a cascade effect. And everyone that's holding dollars will suffer, and the people that are using some other form of currency, whether it be the ruble, I'm not sure what the Saudis use for their currency, or China for that matter. But that's kind of I think that's a big picture global thing. I don't go around talking about all that stuff, because it seems like far-fetched. But we're in a very vulnerable position, and that's why I support us not going into Ukraine, because that would be devastating, because we're in a vulnerable position as it is. We cannot go to war at all. We can give them all the weapons they want, they can fight for their country, like the Afghans should have fought for their own country.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians, we can give them the weapons, but we cannot get involved because we are at a vulnerable position economically. Our government is in a vulnerable position because they have Russian people running all through the government. And then also, again, the people are kind of at odds with each other. Again, those are really big picture kind of things, but again, I agree with you overall is that immigration is the strength, the continued strength of our country and our economy, without a doubt.
And I'm going to say, just to counter him for fun, I think we should have been in Ukraine already, because if we don't, Putin's gonna eat it up, and then he's gonna get ready for the next one.
True.
So at what point do we stop him?
Well, again, see, good point, but it's too late and we're too vulnerable. So that's a hypothetical thing.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason why Putin is doing what he's doing is because when Trump was in office, Trump was giving it to him.
Yeah.
So he was happy with that. Well, Putin had no idea that Trump would lose the election. And so sure enough, almost a little over a year, he's on the doorstep saying, I'm taking it now because I'm already, this is Putin talking. He's 69 years old. His legacy was to reunify Russia. And he's like, well, damn it, Trump got elected. Well, I'm not gonna take it. And so he's up there at the front door, ready to invade them because that's what his legacy is going to be. That's what he
Trump
wanted to be.
did all that he wanted with NATO and
Yeah.
Iran and all
And
that stuff.
I agree, we're just too late to the game. And you, in business, sometimes, unfortunately, it's people's lives when I say this, but it gives me chills saying that because I'm not that kind of person, but you have to cut your losses. You give them the weapons to fight,
We're
but
not
we
gonna
can't
we're not
do
gonna
that.
fight that war today.
Yeah, we can't.
Well, it doesn't all, because there are just things, he's not, but NATO is gonna help defend, help him defend himself.
Mr. Air Force, what do you think?
Well, basically, when you get involved in current wars, Americans are held to a moral standard.
Hmm.
And you cannot fight a war with a moral standard. War is war is war is war. And that's what happened, I believe, in Vietnam. We were fighting a war with a moral standard. The United States had the capacity to go in, wipe it up, and get it done. But politics stepped in, and the moral American war is what happened. I had a brother who was in Vietnam. And so the situation there is that when we start infighting against ourselves and do not reach a common point, that makes us weaker as a nation. We have to, once we, and this is my promise, once we get elected, or whoever gets elected, I hope that it is not Democrat, it is not Republican. It has to be American. It has to be American. Why? Because this is the United States of America. This is not the Republican states. This is not the Democratic states. We have to go in and have a common union as a people to face the world around us. Why? Because it's coming to us from all sides. And unless we can unify the parties to present a common America, we will continue to have those difficulties in establishing ourselves as the world power that we are. We will have difficulty in having other democracies follow our lead. The emphasis on holding people accountable is because if you look south, they have not felt the need to keep people accountable, and those are the results of the chaos their governments are in now. So we need to hold these people accountable, get them out of government, and then get the American people represented again.
Agree with that.
Amen.
Okay,